Good morning, everybody, and happy Valentine's Day. And thank you very much for spending Valentine's Day with us. Welcome to this workshop. This is the workshop on the public AI assistant to worldwide knowledge, and today is the second day where we actually talk about the nuts and bolts. So I am Monica Lam. I'm a professor in the computer science department, and I'm also the director of the Stanford Open Virtual Assistant Lab, OVAL. And today you get to hear from the real people doing all the work. They are my graduate students, and they will talk about the details and the nuts and bolts of how we actually make our Genie assistant. And I'm just going to provide a very short overview of our approach before we delve into the details. So, today everybody knows that LLMs are just taking the world by storm. But there is one small problem, is that LLMs like to hallucinate. That was an interesting word, but in some sense it is giving misinformation, which is really not allowed. So we work very hard to solve this problem. And the way we approach it is to go take reference of this taxonomy that was created by educators. This is the Bloom's taxonomy. The educators know about this concept that when we teach, at the basic level, we are teaching facts, and people just remember the facts. But we really have to make sure that they understand, they apply the knowledge, they analyze it, and they evaluate, and at the end, they were able to create new knowledge. And what we mean by create is not about creative writing. It's really talking about research. How do you analyze all the knowledge before you, and then you create new knowledge? So this is really the pyramid. And that's, the educators are familiar with. And of course, we are trying to get people to educate. And this is exactly what research my PhD students are here at Stanford to learn, okay? So if I look at LLM, to me, it is really when we do next word prediction, it is primarily remembering. We're trying to get it to memorize what the next word is. And in order to do a good prediction, surely it actually draws connections between the different words and so forth. It is not like, they do see the semantic relationships between the words for the task of prediction. So sometimes you ask it the same questions in different ways. It can give you different answers because they don't truly understand. But if you look at the results, a lot of times they seem to be able to understand, apply, analyze, and evaluate, and so forth. Because for humans, we don't have such kind of memory. And if we can give you that answer, you just assume that that's because I understand, the humans understand. So there is a difference between how machines work and how we work. So what we do in our group is to say, look, we have an amazing memory, but it can be faulty. It cannot remember all the long tail of information. And what we need to teach it is all the skills above. How do you even read properly? How do you do literature research and so forth? It's like the kind of things that we learn how to do. We don't just as we learn languages when we are like 2 years old, we don't know how to do research. We have to teach it how to do research. And this is our approach. We take it very slowly to make sure that it actually handles, knowledge properly. So we have built an assistant, and my background is that I'm actually a compiler writer. I'm an author of the most popular compiler textbook, and I care a lot about helping people create their own software, create their own programs, and create their own assistants. And so everything we are doing is domain adaptive. That means that we have built a system, you can supply your data, and we actually can provide you the chat, search, browse, and research, the literature search functionalities. And this system is called Genie. So you can supply your own digitized material, free text, SQL, knowledge graph schemas, and we will give you a working chat and and so, I mean, a working assistant. So that has been the focus in our group, which is a little bit different from a typical company where they look at their corpus and they build the assistant to their corpus. So you're going to hear about how we do that, and we have applied it to a bunch of knowledge sources from the internet, Wikipedia, Semantic Scholar, Wikidata, FEC data, the ACLED data, and newspapers like the African Times and the Commercial Advertiser. So we have used it in different databases, and of course, this is still pretty at early stage, and if you use it, we really need your feedback to keep improving our general system. And besides being able to chat or work with your data, we know that one of the most important things is to be able to use the knowledge and apply it in your work. So we are able to, we also have a way of creating knowledge-intensive task assistants that you can trust. Okay, even though we are using LLMs, you will not find it making things up like giving out discounts when they're really aren't available in the company. And until we are able to control that, nobody is going to just put an LLM agent up and interface with anybody, customers or your internal staff and so forth. So this is a major transition from being able to apply LLMs to applications. So another thing I wanted to emphasize is that we are LLM and search engine agnostic. We have created this open source software. We have a lot of people downloading our software, and they also contribute back to the software. And at this point, for example, we have connected to the Light LLM, which actually has 50 models in it. And I'm just putting down some of the common names that you may already know. So you can use any of these models. It is already built into the code. We also have a choice of search engine from Azure AI, Bing, Brave, DuckDuckGo, Google, and so forth. So you also have a choice of that. And you can also create your own vector search, vector database. So for example, we have done it for Semantic Scholar and so forth. And it turns out that this is one of the cheapest way to get search done, because you can, it is now running on your own computer and on your own servers. So there are people who came to us and they said, could you host our data? And we have made that available, and you can upload it at this address. And you upload the data, there will be more instruction and information from the talks, and then we can host it for you, and then you can have interface, and you can actually chat and do all these things with your system. So everything that we're talking about, we have live demos, and it is on the website, www.knowledge.org. And and this is a group of things that we have done, and you can go play with it. We are working on improving this. There will be an integrated user interface so that you can do all the different functions and have a choice of all the different data resources. But these are the individual projects that have been packaged up for demos, so please feel free to try them out. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sina Samnani. And Sina is the student who came up with so many ideas that we should do, and you will see what he has done. Okay. Well, thank you. Take it over.